Hey folks, Sean Malin here of We Just Got Better, the video podcast for CineMaln film commentary and criticism. Now, it's been a while since we've done a video review, but today I wanted to review for you Werner Herzog's latest film, Salt and Fire. To call Werner Herzog's latest film his latest film is a challenge because at any given point, Herzog, one of the most prolific directors of nonfiction and fiction in the world, has 3 or 4 films sitting at the ready. As he said on Mark Maron's podcast, WTF, recently, he had Queen of the Earth, the film that he made with Nicole Kidman as the star, Salt and Fire, the film which I'm reviewing for you here today, as well as, lo and behold, Reveries of the Connected World and Into the Inferno, both on Netflix now. Now, Salt and Fire is on video on demand and has been released widely. But as Herzog films go, it got one of the smallest releases that any of his theatrical films have received in the last several years for many reasons. The first is that it's based on a short story by Tom Bissell. Tom Bissell wrote the story Aral, and he also wrote the story from which Julia Lochtev's Loneliest Planet was based. And like that film, this film stars, or co-stars rather, Gael Garcia Bernal as a scientist who's traveling with Laura Sommerfeld, Salt and Fire's main character, a German eco-scientist played by Veronica Ferris, the German actress. Now, Garcia Bernal's doctor and Dr. Sommerfeld are traveling to Bolivia, to the salt flats of Bolivia, where they will be speaking based on scientific research that has determined that the treatment of the ecosystem in Bolivia is violating human rights concerns and basically threatening major populations of indigenous and urban development within Bolivia. On the way there, Sommerfeld and her companion are kidnapped by Matt Riley, a character played by Michael Shannon, who also appeared in Herzog's film My Son, What Have You Done? And Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Shannon is an exceptional actor, and as Matt Riley, he plays the role with a lot of his usual menace kind of subdued. This is not an angry or scary character. In Herzog's hands, this is actually not even an unnerving character. What Riley is actually is a thought-provoked sort of eco-terrorist whose company once helped to expand the salt flats, which are destroying part of Bolivia's natural ecosystem and threatening the rainforests in the Amazon. Bolivia is an interesting country for Herzog to set his film in for many reasons, not the least because it's hypnotically beautiful. The salt flats here, they bring to mind the use of salt flats in other independent films. Most notably, I'm thinking of the motorcycle drive that Vincent Gallo goes down in The Brown Bunny, where he explores the salt flats on a motorcycle and seems to disappear into the landscape. Here, Herzog uses the horizon line as some sort of hive-like formation where expansive long shots and drone-captured footage lead into the horizon so far out that the Bolivian salt flats, which are growing between a threatening volcano, another one of Herzog's favorite subject matters, and the establishment where Riley kidnaps and brings Sommerfeld and her companions, played by Gael Garcia Bernal, you are able to see the salt flat as becoming a sort of a fractal world, a world that is completely separate from society and which has been split open by eco-destruction, which Riley's company played some part in playing. Now, Riley also has a companion. His companion, Krauss, is a wheelchair-bound eco-physicist played by the real-life theoretical physicist Lawrence Krauss. Krauss has a magnetic screen persona and speaks in a very peculiar way, as all of Herzog's characters do, in this sort of hypnotized mode. Now, this is no Hearts of Glass, but there is certainly a feeling that the actors have been mesmerized or have been asked to conduct their dialogue in some sort of stilted language. If anything, they sound like Herzog speaks in a sort of Centaurian declarative overtones. There's even a sense of hypnotic singing undergoing the soundtrack. Why should we be hypnotized in Salt and Fire? It is because Herzog is going for a sort of he is trying to lure you into a sense of discomfort, the sense of discomfort being that we could be destroyed at any second by the explosive nature of the volcano, which Riley's company has only contributed to tremors and growing danger with. Now, the growing danger of the volcano, of course, calls to mind fracking and industrial problems here within the United States, where the natural oil industry and gas industries are only starting to receive even more benefits from the current political administration that's in government. Now, the Dakota Access Pipeline was a major problem in 2016 when this film was shot. And when we had protests in the U.S. at the DAPL, you think, wow, we are representing the indigenous community, or the indigenous community is trying to fight back against the bureaucracy here. And there is no such establishment in Bolivia, at least not in the film Salt and Fire. Herzog is tapping into the political inequities that Salt and Fire represents by using a German intervener played by Ferris in a kind of an uninspired performance, I have to say. A performance that articulates much less than Herzog normally does get out of his actors. There's something about Ferris that is stilted and warped, and people have called attention to this. Other reviewers in Variety and IndieWire have pointed out that Ferris is a cipher in a way that Herzog typically does not use his actors. His actors sometimes they peddle insanity. Think of Nicolas Cage in Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans, or Klaus Kinski in Aguirre, The Wrath of God, or even Michael Shannon in My Son, What Have You Done? Veronica Ferris's character, Sommerfeld, Dr. Sommerfeld, even in moments where she should be experiencing extreme duress, such as when Riley drops her off in the middle of a salt flat to rot and take care of two strangely blind indigenous boys. When in those sequences we should be feeling immense sympathy for Ferris's character, Sommerfeld is actually put off by her obsession with science and her focus on devoting her life to her private enterprises rather than to experiencing an emotional connection with Riley, who is obviously beginning to fall in love with her. As Shannon, in his own unique way, makes seem authentic. Now, for Herzog lovers, although Ferris's performance at the center is not unhinged, there is an absolute sort of stylish hypnotism undergoing the editing of this film. The film is incredibly rhythmic. It has Tuvan throat singing and classical composition, avant-garde classical composition. And when I say avant-garde classical, I mean that classical using traditional orchestral instruments, the violin, the cello, and operatic singers on the soundtrack, but with an avant-garde style that mimics Philip Glass in some ways and the contemporary Tuvan throat singer industry in South Asia and in Latin America as well. Now, this soundtrack is one of Herzog's best, and the film is, in fact, completely aesthetically beautiful, with almost perfect sound editing in the desert, this salt flat desert, and much of the music leading to a sort of dramatic zone of reverie. We do feel that Salt and Fire is an almost mystical experience, and as Herzog has said, he is trying to sort of coax a primal, almost reptilian understanding of the destructive world into our mind. With Salt and Fire, he sort of succeeds. I'm not sure if he's proud of that, but Salt and Fire is a film to be proud of aesthetically, even if it doesn't work on the level of dramatic interaction. Shannon is the only character who really pops out of the screen because his Matt Riley, and Lawrence Krauss as his assistant Krauss. Between the two of them, they do represent a sort of victimizing, dangerous corporate science, which is a major part of the American ideal. And Herzog, in his way, was tapping into the giant eco-destruction and eco-terrorism that has been perpetrated on the world by people like Monsanto and other chemical industries all over Latin America, of course. Now, Salt and Fire, diatribe that it may be, is a film that you can see on video on demand, and because the film has had high-profile screenings at festivals all around the world, it might be worth checking out as a Herzog fan. Though I found it to be, of the films that I've seen of his in the last year, which include Lo and Behold, Reveries of the Connected World, and Into the Inferno, I have to say that Salt and Fire is the one that works least on the level of dramatis. It does not have the unhinged power, the crazy unpredictability of his best films, Aguirre or Fitzcarraldo or Cobra Verde. If you see it, it'll be because you're a Herzog fan, not because you are looking for an incredible drama that will be winning Academy Awards and really entering into the annals of Independent Spirit Award winners in the next few years. Check out Salt and Fire and let me know what you think. Thanks for paying attention and for watching CineMaln Film Commentaries podcast. We just got better. See you next time.